Hey, welcome back, everyone, for another episode of In the Community with Dr. Matt. And we have a special guest today, Dr. Jon, hanging out with us. He's actually a family chiropractor, talks a lot about the nervous system up in Sudbury. What's the actual town, Dr. Jon?
It's actually Valcairns, a small little community that's outside of the main station of Sudbury. There's a bunch of them that are kind of surrounding main Sudbury, but
Okay,
Valcairns where we practice.
okay. So I think it's like a little hamlet, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Neat. So John is actually one of my friends from chiropractic school, and we share some mutual interests. He loves health, talking about the nervous system, chiropractic, as well as fitness. So many of the things that I talk about too. And some of those fun things, we have a real narrow interest in weightlifting too, which I think,
Yeah, absolutely.
those are
I
some of
remember even doing some work with Matt and Dr. Matt. He made us do a half marathon row one time, which was absolutely awful, but quite rewarding at the end as well.
I still have intention of trying to do that again. Like,
That would be awful and fun at the same time.
yeah, I think that was a lot of fun, and it was a good point to connect, right? And just fun in the sun, like literally, you can sit out in the summer and do something, right?
Absolutely.
So, what is it like? I want to talk briefly about some of the things you'd recommend to patients, whether it's during this time or any other time, to stay healthy. And I think we should touch on, during this time, you have a different duty as well, because you were telling me just on the pre-show that you're doing some homeschooling too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, life has literally been turned on its head for many, many people, including myself, where you're typically going to work from your 9 to 5 or whatever your schedule looks like. And now all of a sudden you have these new responsibilities that you never had any intention of doing before. We're homeschooling through the internet with our wonderful teacher on the other end who's helping us out. But we've got a grade 3 who's 8 years old, and I'm learning how to learn to teach. And so this is a huge moment for me because I never really expected to be a teacher,
Hey, I would
right?
imagine some of this, like just reflecting now, I would imagine some of this would actually have some carryover to how you share a message with patients too.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, all of a sudden we're going through with our 8 year old and we're trying to teach. And I keep on going through the same way, right? I'm talking to Haley is her name, and I'm speaking to her, and I feel like you should be getting this, right? Like, why aren't you getting this? Why can't you just get this? And she's saying, I don't get it. I don't get it. What you're saying that the same way over and over. And then
Yeah.
it clicks on me. I'm like, oh my goodness. We did one activity where it was a visual kinesthetic type thing. So she could feel it, she could touch it, she could see it, and it was understanding the difference between grams and kilograms. And we were trying to show, okay, you know what? In the beginning, we've got small measurements that build their way up to big measurements. And as soon as we grabbed the scale and showed exactly what this looks like, boom, amazing results we started to see. So it's been a
Oh,
real interesting development for myself to learn how to teach. And I'm bringing that back to actually be able to communicate with people because many, many times you'll say something, you get the deer in headlights look, and you go, oh goodness, he told me to stretch my hips, but I don't actually know what that means.
yes. And I think that's a good reflection, like in terms of how you talk to people in the different learning styles, which I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
is probably a good tip for parents watching in terms of remember that not everybody learns the same, right? Like I like seeing visual and hands-on, right? Versus auditory, I always had difficulty with in
Yeah,
terms of
absolutely. Myself
optimal
as
learning, right?
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
remember for myself, like just it would always be rewriting things and seeing the visual, right? And I always found that really helpful. So it's neat. It sounds like you found her learning style and you're having some success based on the past 4 or 5 weeks then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been rewarding and challenging, and looking forward to how to teach more, and learning on that as well.
Good. So you're going to be even a better version of the doctor you were when you get back to full-time practice. That's what
Absolutely.
you're really telling us.
That's where we're working at for sure.
Good. So what is it? Let's touch on in terms of sharing ideas with patients. Some of the, in terms of the human body and how people can be healthier. What are some things that you share? Like, is there two real quick things that you want to touch on, and people can go from there in terms of them being optimally healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to break things down into really three categories, and we'll touch on the top two because they're the easiest to really wrap our mind around. And so we talk about eat well, move well, and think well. And so I leave
Nice.
people to think well kind of on their own because many people have different understandings or attributes as far as what they feel that healthy realm sits with. But we can really talk about eat well and move well without having too many difficulties in regards as far as how many people would do this differently. So the first thing really basically within move well is just to move, right? So it's so easy, especially in a pandemic like this, challenging times, for us to stay inside because we're under isolation and to not get the proper amount of motion that we should.
Yeah.
Right.
We
Every
forget
articulate. Yeah,
that we're still allowed to walk.
that's
That's the
right.
easiest thing you can do. Yeah. Yeah.
And the brain gets most of its blood flow and energy from us, our body's actually moving and driving that energy up into the brain, right? So if you feel sluggish, then you're probably not moving enough. Okay. We're not moving enough to actually stimulate the brain to be healthy and to stay that way. Okay.
Which
So that's the first thing.
I think that first point people can have sometimes be difficult with, right? Because you think that you moved, and you're tired at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
But really, you didn't produce the energy in your body to be active and be more energetic. Like, it was the
absolutely.
driving force, right? It had to come from your intention to go out walking, and you had to drive your engine, your spine, and your big joints to wake this up. So you have
Well,
more.
and how many times do you feel that sluggishness at the end of the day? And maybe it's your better half that forces you, come on, let's just go for a walk. Come on, please. And okay, begrudgingly, you grab your shoes and you drag your butt out the front door, and you go for your walk. And afterwards, you're like, wow, I feel fantastic. This is awesome. Like, why don't we do this more often?
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Is just getting started and taking that first leap.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so number 2 on the list is eat well. And
yeah.
this can get complicated very quickly and can be very challenging for people to really wrap their mind around. So I'm of the mindset to not take things away. If your diet's not great to begin with, let's not do a major overhaul. Let's add 1 to 2 things into the diet. Okay, so let's do a addition diet versus subtraction. I don't want you to take all the chips out of your diet because God forbid, that sounds pretty yummy, but let's add in 1 fruit and 1 vegetable. Right? So it doesn't have to be challenging. I always choose vegetables on that spectrum that are the easiest to digest. You get a big bowl of cauliflower and broccoli. That might be hard on the tummy as we go through if you're not used to having that much fiber in your diet. So maybe we stick to things like spinach or kale. Peppers can be really easy to digest as well. And if this is the first time you're really adding a whole pile of vegetables, think about steaming them.
Okay, I like that idea. That's actually bringing something to my attention too.
Yeah, so
And
let's make life easy. Let's
yeah,
do easy steps towards health and wellness. Let's move a little bit more. Let's get out for our walks,
yeah.
and let's add some vegetables to our diet. It really doesn't have to be anything rocket science. There's no secret superfood that's out there or movement pattern that's going to change your life. It's got to be slow, small, incremental steps.
And consistency.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. But I love that less stressful step of adding things in. Like, I think that's key with people. And, most of the time we're trying to live on a 30 or 60-day lifestyle shift, and we're
Yeah,
subtracting and taking away, right? And that's really
right.
stressful if you like living your life one way.
Absolutely. And you see that's the tabloid, right? It's 30 days to lose 20 pounds or to detoxify your body or whatever that tagline is that drives us towards it or whatever interest we have at that moment. And it really doesn't have to be that exciting.
Of course. I love it. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to add in there?
You know what? I think that this is such an intense time in our lives that we are living through right now. And to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. Try these things, add them in slowly. If you fail, keep on trying, be consistent and persist through this.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you for being on and taking the time to be here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Matt. This is always amazing to catch up with you. And I always look forward to the content that you're putting out there. It's great stuff.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to put the all the ways to connect with you in the show notes below. And
Awesome.
thanks for being a guest. We'll sign off, say goodbye to everybody. You guys have a great day, and bye for now.